Okay, here we go with video 14D, as in dog. And right now we're going through a scenario of trying to find 14C as in cat. And I'm looking for it. I see it on my computers. Computers. We'll go ahead with that because I have more than one. And some individuals have indicated that they aren't able to locate it. So I will go on with D as in dog, and then I will continue to work on 14C as in cat and try to locate any problem or any concern. Up to this point, as far as schizophrenia is concerned, when we talk about schizophrenia, we're talking about a spectrum. And then we have in other psychotic disorders. Now, psychosis, we remember the difference between psychosis and neurosis. I'm going to review that for you right now. Neurosis, the individual may be engaged in a behavior which does not adhere to what the norm may be. Okay. But they know that what they are doing is not the norm. But they go ahead and continue in to whatever behavior they are engaged in. Well, with a psychotic has built their own reality. They are living within that reality. Therefore, there's nothing wrong. What they are doing is correct. Now, again, I want to emphasize that we're not quite sure what happens, but we know that there is a propensity. As far as a inheritable, directly inheritable concern, psychotic concern, I don't really believe that that is supported as such. But the propensity is there. Everything is in place, and if the environment interacts within a certain way, going to have schizophrenia. Now, as we've said before, there's various types and subtypes of schizophrenia, and in 14E, we're going to be looking at those various types and subtypes. But the onset is stated to be in the childbearing years, such as the early 20s. Can it occur sooner? Yes, it can and does occur sooner. And I'm bringing this out is because basically any statement that is made concerning, and I shouldn't say any statement that is made, but many statements that are made describing schizophrenia can be counteracted with another statement also relating to schizophrenia, and they both might be correct. And that is why when we're visiting with someone, and I've stated before, are we talking about type 1, positive schizophrenia, type 2, negative schizophrenia, or possibly a type 3, a mixed schizophrenia. So we have to know which ones we are talking about, which schizophrenia is. I'm using the word schizophrenia. It's just a spectrum. So in order to relate to this psychotic disorder, we're going to have to narrow this down a little bit more so we're able to focus on what is really happening. Now, I might stop here, and this is why it's left up to the psychiatrists to go ahead and give the term or label, if you like. Maybe some of you don't like labels. I'd go along with something else, but right now a label is expedient. And That is why a psychiatrist having 4 years of medical school and then 3 additional years of study, that's why they label it. But nonetheless, we can go ahead and gather a great deal of information on the schizophrenia spectrum and other psychotic disorders that will give us an idea and broaden our view. Okay, age of onset then in the childbearing years. We can't name one specific date, but it's in the childbearing years. About 1%, of the population has schizophrenia. Matter of fact, a statement is made that it is more common than diabetes, Alzheimer's, or MS, multiple sclerosis. Now, schizophrenia can and does run in families. And this is kind of interesting. If you have a close relative, and I've seen this happen, I've seen schizophrenia in one generation skip the next generation, no problems, but become very evident in the third generation. Now, how this happens for sure, I don't know. I know families whose offspring did not have any children because of this concern. But I've seen this happen not only in schizophrenia, but in bipolar, ADHD, and various autism, various other disorders in that. So we can go on what the records show and what the statistics show us. A close relative, there's a possibility of having schizophrenia. Identical twins, it's about a 40 to 60% chance of developing it. A child whose parent is schizophrenia has about a 10% chance. Now, with the prenatal and perinatal, we talked about that. We're talking about the environment, and we can expand this. What I'm doing, I'm not covering all that's in the chapter because you know who is going to cover part of this. If you haven't guessed that yet, why, look in the mirror. Okay, prenatal. Again, I've stated this before. But some type of influenza during the gestation period can cause it. Sometimes the cells, the neurons, are not formed and connected in the right way. And this is during the developmental time, during the gestation period. And then when these individuals reach puberty, reach adolescence, or go into the early 20s, and they are under a certain stress that can cause schizophrenia. Perinatal, this is during birth. Again, we'll say that the birthing process is taking place. It's a difficult birth. During contractions, the umbilical cord is shutting off the oxygen supply, which as a rule would call for a C-section because it can be monitored now more so than what it could be in times past. But the stress of this perinatal during birth can also lead to schizophrenia. It doesn't mean that they're going to get schizophrenia. What they've done, they've looked back into the history of these individuals with schizophrenia, and they've developed some commonality. We don't know everything about it, but we do know a lot more than what they knew maybe 10, 15, 20 years ago. And probably by the year 2025, we'll probably know a lot more about it. So there have been some genes that have been markers as far as being able to see which genes are involved in schizophrenia. What is kind of interesting is that there's gray matter and white matter. Actually, if you see this on a lot of slides, a cross-section of the brain will look pink. The light pink is the white matter, and then the little bit darker edges is the gray matter. Well, there's a difference. There's maybe less gray matter in individuals who brain is from an individual that has been suffering from schizophrenia. Less gray matter. Okay, you with me? In a schizophrenic. Also, the ventricles in a schizophrenic are much larger, and the ventricles are what causes, or not doesn't cause, but it holds the cerebrospinal fluid in the ventricles. Now, the gray matter, and this is what I wanted to bring out. The gray matter is associated with the perception process of seeing, tasting, hearing, smelling, touching. Okay. Are you with me on that? Gray matter associated with perception, less gray matter in an individual with schizophrenia. Okay, now, what is a hallucination? A hallucination is a disruptive force in involving the five senses. So, is there a connection between the gray matter and hallucinating? I haven't heard anyone mention this, but I'm just asking you if there is a connection. Okay, these are some of the causes. Uh, some individuals need a caseworker. They get along quite well, but they lack some social skills. Uh, MSWs work in this area, caseworkers work in this area, and so they teach these individuals some social skills. Token economy works in some cases. Again, we can't say one thing works for all, but I just hope that we have a little bit better idea of really what schizophrenia consists of and maybe what it doesn't consist of. To develop the thought that schizophrenia is a much broader topic than what we thought. Now, basically, what we're going to be doing, we're going to be responding in forms. And after I have 14E on, E as in elephant, then we will go ahead and put the assignment in form. So until 14E, you folks have a good day.